I know you know what the problems are. You've heard about it, sung about it, written books on it, created films on it. You've lobbied Parliament, you've signed petitions, you've gone out there into the streets and marched. You know what the problem is. It's those bloody humans. You're greedy, you're lazy, you're disrespectful, you consume the world's resources twice at least in one lifetime. You cut down trees, you pollute oceans, you kill and torture your own kind. We all have a hole in our chest. Over where the heart is where it just feels so empty. And the thing about human beings is we always want to feel full. We always want to feel like we're being fulfilled, like we're living in purpose. So we throw things into the hole that we want to manifest. It could be anything that we think is going to increase our happiness in life. A car, a home, a cuddly toy, a microwave oven, a computer, a new dress, a new haircut, an outfit, a new fitness regime, a diet, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, well, a boyfriend and a girlfriend. But nothing fills the hole. Because the truth is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the hole. There's nothing wrong with the feelings of emptiness, being alone, feeling like you're living without purpose. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with being human. And in the silence of our self-acceptance, something begins to emerge. It's a light out of our heart. And there's nothing wrong with the hole, because the hole is actually a light shade, because quite frankly, your brilliance would probably blind others. So it's a light shade for us to be able to send out our love from our heart and connect with other people in the world. Everything that exists works on polarity of love at one end and ego on the other. Perhaps this could be best described as the fight between good and evil. It is now that we get the chance to see who claims our soul. I truly hate the part of humanity which is ego, but actually a correct way of saying that would be that my ego hates the human part which is ego. But I have all the time and love in the world for the part of humanity which is divinity.
Imagination.
Oh, creativity.
Oh, joy.
Spontaneity.
Oh, shit. Passion.
Passion.
Loving kindness.
Oh, no.
Imagination. Love.
So actually, if we connected to the part of ourselves that is love, then consciousness would really shift. You know, I get a little bit vulnerable sometimes about the whole idea of opening my heart and really connecting with the loving side of who I am. It feels like if I just allow my love to shine out from my heart when no one else is doing it, I feel like I might die. And I'm not kidding. I know that that sounds really weird, but when you look throughout history, anyone who has tried to really connect with the idea that God is inside of themselves, or that a loving entity is in them, pretty much has those ideas kind of ridiculed, persecuted, and sometimes even snuffed out. You see, the ego doesn't want to die. So if you start putting up any challenging thoughts towards your own ego, it's likely to try and argue back with you. But if you put up challenging thoughts to other people's egos, well, then you can really end up in trouble. And so sometimes the idea of you becoming a loving, connected, responding person to someone else and joining in community to shift the things that we want to change in the world is somewhat daunting, if not really scary. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't even really want to sit next to the same person on the bus and have a conversation. When you board a plane, you definitely don't talk to the person until you're starting to land because you didn't want to get stuck chatting to them for the entire time, just in case they're boring. We fear getting involved with other people. Our entire society is set up in order to be able to keep us separate. And of course, that separation means that the ego becomes, what about me? What about myself? Instead of joining together in order to say, okay, we have some problems here. I need some support here. I need to give you some support. And actually joining together in community because, frankly, we're scared of each other.
Will it be life or living death?
We fear humans. Da, 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 but the universe has a built-in contingency plan. The New Yorker ran an article in May 2008 called "In the Air, Who Says Big Ideas Are Rare?" I like what they did there. Oh, that rhymed as well. The New Yorker claimed that there were 148 major scientific discoveries were invented by different people round about at the same time. Could it really be that we are all connected in some way? Perhaps in vibration, or in other words, sound. Sound has an interesting quality. If you have a guitar on one side of the room and you strum it, a guitar on the other side of the room tuned completely differently will actually resonate to the same sound of the first guitar. You might want to try it for yourself. It's pretty cool. Due to the law of resonance, anything that is a dominant frequency of sound will attract everything else to vibrate to the same frequency as it. This is a really fascinating aspect of sound because what it basically means is that when we have an emotion, our emotions also emit a certain amount of sound. That doesn't make any sense to you because you can't hear it with your ears? It's pretty much what we're made up of. We're made up of different vibrating molecules, and those molecules actually emit a sound. So when you think about it, you know that feeling when you walk into a room and someone in the room is in a really, really bad mood and it brings everyone else down? Or alternatively, when someone's in a really great mood and their energy is almost contagious. Not convinced? How about the story of the 100th monkey?
In the story of the 100th monkey, scientists were in observation of a number of monkeys on the island of Koshima. Scientists were giving the monkeys with sweet potatoes that often fell into the sand. The monkeys found the dirt unpleasant. An 18-month-old female monkey learned to wash the sand off her potato. Her name was Imo. Soon many of the monkeys started to wash the potatoes from the sand. In autumn of 1958, something startling happened. When the 100th monkey learned to wash sweet potatoes, the added energy of that 100th monkey created an ideological breakthrough. Now all the monkeys were washing their potatoes before eating them, but a surprising was yet in store for these scientists. The habit of washing the sweet potato had jumped overseas. Colonies of monkeys on other islands and the mainland troop at Takasakiyama began washing their sweet potatoes.
When one or more individuals manifest this new awareness, a critical mass is reached. and the strength is really unified. So it could only take 51% of the population to be connecting with love, and this would be the gateway to be a tipping point in the shift of consciousness. This loving thought process and consciousness and way of thinking would become the majority rule. It would be communicated inner knowing to inner knowing. I invite you to test this theory out for yourself, and I have really tested this on a number of different levels, both with students and with individuals. And a way that you can test it for yourself is start sending positive energy to someone that you know. Just good thoughts, goodwill, anything positive. Start sending it to them. See how they change in the way that they react towards you. It often helps if you're choosing someone that you perhaps are an energetic mismatch. So in other words, someone you don't like. So if there's someone you don't like and they don't like you, start sending them out positive vibes. So let's take the idea of spirituality to its full extreme. The ego is made up of various sub-personalities. These are masks that we wear in order to be able to protect ourselves throughout our life. Most of these masks and identities are created in childhood, when you're looking at the world and working out what works, who to be and how to show up. So a personal example of this would be, I have this inner sub-personality of a reasonably frightened child. Now, in order to protect this vulnerable, quite pathetic, but reasonably lovable aspect of who I am, I have created a sub-personality of a controller. Now, my controlling personality just really protects me from other people getting into my vulnerable, frightened child inner awareness. So my controller is very controlling. Now, I don't want to come across as being a controlling human being, so I created a pleaser, who's a lovely personality who has absolutely no personal boundaries. The pleaser is so overly giving to everybody and ends up becoming very bitter and resentful about the whole thing. And then I tell myself off, and my inner critic comes out and tells me off for not having personal boundaries, and tells the controller off for being controlling, and tells the frightened child off for being frightened. You see how we go. These sub-personalities are in our head, and they are part of who we are. Welcome everyone. I am the pleaser, and you can ride on my bus anytime. Wait 1 minute there, pleaser. You can't let just anyone ride on the bus that is your journey through life. Might I remind you that we have a frightened child on board, and somebody might take us off our path. Path? You don't want to make me laugh. You guys don't have a path. Oh, don't say that now, critic. You might make the frightened child cry. Now, what was I was saying now, critic? I said everybody get back on the bus. We've got a purpose to follow. Purpose? You don't want to make me laugh. You guys haven't got a purpose. You're completely unintelligent. You've got no hope whatsoever. I don't even know why you guys even bother getting out of bed. Right, I've had enough of all of this nonsense. You lot, get back on the bus now. No, you will not board this bus. I am le saboteur, and I say that you will not board the bus. Frightened child on board, please let us board the bus. I said no, you will stand behind the bus and you will push the bus. Oh, but saboteur, that's going to make it really difficult. Does anyone know why he's talking in a French accent? Mais oui. Because when I was at school, we had a French teacher who gave me an F for French oral. And now that French teacher has become the archetype for le saboteur. Oh, no. Wait. Oh, mad. All of these subpersonalities are really nice people. It's not that we need to get rid of them or kick them off your bus. These people are actually very useful to you. If I didn't have an inner pleaser, no one would like me. If I didn't have an inner controller, I probably wouldn't be doing anything with my life interesting at all. These subpersonalities are all great. Just don't let them drive your bus. So don't let them be in the driving seat of where you are going in your life. All of these subpersonalities can sit at the back of the bus. They can all say, you're going in the wrong direction, put your foot down, or you're driving too quickly, or you're driving too slowly. You can hear all of that stuff that they say to you, but you don't really have to pay any attention. In fact, you can all give them individual names if you like and tell them to shut up, sit at the back of the bus, and carry on going where you're going in your lifetime. In fact, the driver of the bus is very important. The driver needs to be your awareness, the observer, the part of you that knows, the part of you that can see the road ahead, that can check the signposts, that knows by looking at the dials on the dashboard whether or not you need to eat, restock your fuel, whether or not you need to pull over and have a little quiet nap. That part of you that is the awareness is the person that needs to be driving the bus. Now, you might know of the awareness. You might not have actually put two and two together about who the awareness is, but have you ever noticed that when you're really angry, there is a part of you that is aware that you're angry and the awareness isn't angry? Or, for example, when you're really depressed, there's a part of you that knows that you're really depressed, but it isn't depressed. I have tested this theory with large amounts of alcohol and I have found that when I am absolutely bouncing off the walls drunk, which happens from time to time, that my awareness is sober. So how can my awareness be sober when I'm drunk? It means it can't be in my mind and it can't be in my body. It must be another part of me. Another aspect of your awareness is your intuition, your inner knowing. And that really is part of the guiding force that you need throughout your life. Your intuition has multiple ways of knowing. You can know with your body, you can know with your energy. And in fact, the least accurate way of being able to know and make decisions is with the egoic mind. Because your mind is the aspect of your consciousness that is completely steeped in ego. And the ego is a form of protection. It's trying to protect you. So its way of knowing is always going to be limited because it's always going to be knowing through fear. Whereas your intuition is always connected to knowing through love. Intuitive knowing is like a download of information. It has no words. It's just a form of like knowing, like understanding the whole of a book without having to break it into words or chapters. It's just within your body, you get it. That way, we can fully understand people without having to put them through the filter of our own judgment. This kind of intuition is really hard to put into words, but it's a little bit like if you've seen the film Avatar, you know all the blue people with the tail sticking it into the earth? You basically are able to tune into everything that exists. So not only can you tune into people intuitively, but if you were living in an apartment, you could even tune into all of the different apartments above and below you. So you'll be able to pick up the energy within a space. This also means that it can expand to being a whole town, or a state, or a country, in fact the entire world. You can tune into absolutely anything that you choose to focus your attention in on. It takes us back to our connections as being one with the planet. So when we're one with our body, it expands to becoming one with the entire planet and maybe, if you're really smart, the universe itself. It means that this kind of intuitive knowing means that you feel connected to all that there is. And it means that life as an experience is totally open to you on many, many different ways of knowing what you're experiencing and what the whole world is experiencing in this present time. With this kind of intuitive knowing, when you know somebody to this level, it's really impossible to hurt them. So when you feel really connected to other people and you see in them yourself, and you're connecting to that part of them which is divine for your own divinity, for your own connection to love, it's really impossible to wish anyone any harm or ill will. That form of intuition really brings community together and really connects us, because it's just impossible to be able to wish ill will. And when we have no wish of ill will, it will be really ridiculous to think that you could shoot someone or drop a bomb on them or drop trash into their yard, because you wouldn't want that to happen to you, and you can see in them who you are. And it creates intuitive understanding through love instead of ego. Most spiritual practice will tell you that you can go into yourself in order to be able to find source through you. And I do believe that that really, really works. But unless you get out of the bedroom and get out of the navel and get into community and join with people, then it's pretty useless, because it doesn't seem to create any positive change within the world, just positive change within yourself, which of course due to the law of resonance is great, but really self-development isn't sustainable without community, and world change really isn't possible without joining together as community. So when you've got the support of other people who can trigger your ego even, then you learn a little bit more about yourself, you see yourself through their perception, and you're able to really bring forward a level of inner knowing that allows you to expand beyond your ego into your more loving consciousness. And we do that through joining together, not through being separate. It's really easy to be an angel when your feathers are not completely ruffled by other people. But when your feathers are being ruffled by other people and you have your own awareness to be able to smooth your feathers and know that it's just coming from your stuff, that's how we make fundamental change. And that's how community can really join together.
We're rolling along the highway. There is merry adventure in every wonderful mile. We're gliding along the byway, lighthearted and free in streamlined style.
As we travel over the countryside, there's romance and fun without end.
See enchanting places and greet new faces, and you will find a friend.
Now, it's not like me to spread fear and, well, quite frankly, I'm not going to tell you anything that you didn't already know, that you haven't already created about, that you haven't written books, that you haven't signed petitions for, that you haven't lobbied governments, that you haven't gone on marches about. You know this stuff. You know that we are at a time of crisis. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. The question here is, how do we fix it? Do we fix it by meditating alone in our bedroom and closing our eyes and just seriously hoping that it all goes away? Or do we fix it by facing our fear, joining together in community, and actually bringing about the kind of awareness that we really desperately need to be able to shift consciousness? Consciousness is not going to shift as an isolated issue. And this may be a universe that isn't real and the ideas of non-duality are true. But we can't just hope that and sit back and go, well, this may be a dream and I'm going to wake up and everything will be all right because none of this is truly real and I'm an illusion and there's only one of us in the room. And all of those spiritual disciplines, you know, they may be absolutely correct. But this is a kind of a training ground. You know, we never make change in things until things get really bad. You don't even go on to your next door neighbour and knock on the door and ask to borrow a candle until the electricity is cut off. So things seem to have to get really, really bad in order for us to be able to face our fears and go out there into the world and create positive change. How bad do they have to get?
Radioactive debris flies skyward from another underground explosion.
I personally don't really want it to get any worse than it's already getting at the moment. To me, the only way that we can ever feel safe to join together in community is through intuitive knowing, because we're scared of each other. But if we intuitively can read somebody else, we can read their ego, we can read their spirit or their higher consciousness, we can read their love. And when you're able to define two aspects of a human being, you keep choosing who they are in love. You keep looking and seeking it out. You keep dragging it out of them. Who are you in love? When you stay curious to another human being, you are in love with them. And to be able to have that intuitive listening on multiple levels of knowing, to be able to stay curious about humanity, means that when we have that kind of love, we encourage, in fact, we demand that someone else treats us in exactly the same way. And guess what? They do. They don't come at you with fear anymore because you're not coming at them with ego. They start to turn that part of the mirror around and they start to come at you with love in the same way in which you're loving them. This doesn't mean that you can allow yourself to be abused. It doesn't mean, oh, you've just got to love thy neighbour indiscriminately of the fact that they're holding a knife to your head. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you do look at them in a loving way, it usually makes them put the knife down and turn that part of the mirror around so they can see themselves reflected in you and see us as being different, but as all as being one. That way, through intuitive knowing, we really can join together and start to fix the things that we need to fix. There is enough resources in the world for all of us, but the greed, fear and manipulation, all created by the ego, makes us believe that there isn't. It makes us believe in lack. It makes us put all of these things in our chest. I must have this, I must have that, I need more stuff. We need less stuff and more love. We need to allow the light of our heart to shine out and engage with other people. And through that, we will really be able to make the changes that the world needs to make. This is not a passive spiritual discipline. This is a revolution for peace. This is a revolution for peace. For peace.